A major feat for gun control advocates this week as two significant measures cleared the House.
So one bill expands background checks, another one extends the period for authorities to complete those background checks, but the pro-gun advocacy coalition Black Guns Matter says that gun control is not necessarily the answer.
Say that all gun control is racist because it is. There is a misconception that African American men should not be armed because it's scary. They're gonna shoot you. You're getting shot now, unarmed.
Maj Toure is the founder of Black Guns Matter. The group focuses on educating urban communities about firearms in hopes of reducing gun violence. And Maj joins us now, fresh off of participating in a criminal justice reform panel at CPAC on the main stage.
Yeah.
Great to see you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I have a lot of questions for you. Sure. But first, tell us about your organization. How to get started. What inspired you to come up with the name? Like, give us all of that.
So it started as a joke. Going into the 2016 elections, we kept hearing in Philly, oh, you gotta, voters registration drive, voters registration drive. And so we was like, yo, we need a license to carry drive. It was a joke that we did a class. A bunch of people came. A lot of those people said, yo, we would like to have something that's like this in Jersey, like right over the bridge, but it's a different, demographic, it's a different state. So then we said, let's keep doing it, let's do different cities. We put together a GoFundMe. We initially were only gonna do 13 cities, 13 original colonies, that whole thing.
I like it.
Yeah, and then we ran through them 13 cities. And then so many people were like, yo, you didn't come to our town, you don't care about us, you're a horrible person. And so we said, okay, let's just do every state in America. We raised the GoFundMe goal and just kept doing it. It's been snowballing ever since.
So all of this is funded through GoFundMe. People who are interested in the classes you're offering, what are the classes you're offering? Are they about gun ownership? Are they about advocacy? What do people learn when they come to these?
So if you learn about firearms in a safe and responsible manner and you have a better understanding of the Constitution and the Second Amendment and how that human right to defend your life, especially in urban America where that conversation has been kind of like spoken about in hushed tones, quite naturally, you're going to be an advocate, not necessarily for guns, but more so an advocate for freedom. The gun is just a tool to defend whatever you value. So the classes we deal with conflict resolution, de-escalation. What is the way of getting a firearm lawfully? Does your state have a license to carry process? What is that? We walk you through that, as well as for 2019, we've added political education into the conversation as well. By doing over 50 events last year, one, it was extremely tiring, but on top of that, we started to see we're making headway in people getting armed and being responsible, but now we have to tie people into political power and the political process. So once people start going, okay, I've been voting for a politician that was trying to restrict me from my freedoms as stated in the Bill of Rights, maybe I should vote for somebody else. Maybe a lot of these policies I've been lied to about certain things. So we've added political education into the mix as well. This is a holistic approach to creating good citizens with just having the means lawfully to defend all of those value systems that you have as a good citizen.
So I grew up in rural Virginia. My dad's very much into guns, NRA guy. I grew up looking at the magazines, and to put it bluntly, the guys in the magazines don't look like you, right? It's a bunch of white guys.
Yep.
So how do you think that the conversation about guns in America would change if the movement was as associated with people of color as it is right now with white guys?
Yeah, so one, we would destroy a lot of first of all, we destroy a lot of jobs, and I'm cool with that.
What do you mean by that?
So there's a lot of laws and people in jail and prisons and Americans' rights being, compromised based on fallacies. To be perfectly honest, based on racist policies.
So you mean gun charges?
Absolutely. We're talking about people that, regardless of if they're black or white, you have a firearm. You didn't do anything negative with the firearm. You just have it. And if I drive through New Jersey right now, if I have a magazine with over 10 rounds, I am going to jail. I am a felon. So all of the jobs that are associated with anti-freedom policies, I'm perfectly fine with those going away. So if more people of color, more melanated beings were highlighted their history, our historical context with firearms in America is a sound and thoroughly strong one. What happens is that story isn't told. So if more of that starts to switch and be put to the forefront like it is, our classes, you can't tell what our classes are. They look like pop concerts. They look like, maybe it's a hip hop concert, maybe it's a country western concert, maybe it's a barbecue, who knows? And that's actually a better representation of what America actually looks like. So what would happen there is more people would not go to jail, more jobs actually would be created because the concept around firearms manufacturing, even if it's something as simple as, accessories. Those abandoned factories in Detroit, those abandoned factories in Philly, we could rehab those and create jobs. So the jobs that would be removed, we could triple that. That's my goal. I want to make sure that we've had the gold rush back in the day. Colorado and Cali showed us the marijuana rush and the billions of dollars and the millions of dollars that have been able to handle, issues in whatever cities and states. Now we can have the polymer rush with firearms.
Let me just ask you, do you think that I wasn't at CPAC yesterday. I'm going to assume based on past experience it was a mostly white crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, glad we got confirmation. Do you think that room would be comfortable with the idea of black people in the city arming themselves the way that you advocate for?
I think they, on one level, they say they do, right? But my pushback to the conservative room is, talk is cheap. You've said these things, but you've also allowed the left for a very long time to define your narrative. If you're saying we're not racist, they're painting us this way, okay, what have you actually done to get behind organizations that are doing the work in urban America? For one, you could be right, but the left has, again, done a much better job of PR of convincing urban America that you're racist. So they don't trust you. So if they don't trust you and you need a liaison and you're not finding liaisons that are trustworthy, that have done what they said they're going to do for urban America, then you're just saying the same things and then saying, no, we're not, no, we're not. You got to be something behind them words. That's kind of like the point of the Second Amendment. It's something behind these words.
So is that what this looks like then, that movement, finding that issue of consensus with a traditional Republican Party and people of color? You're saying this is an issue that could really move people not just into gun ownership responsibly, but also into advocacy, into politics.
Absolutely.
Is finding that issue and educating people, that's what you're trying to accomplish here, and you think that could start to really switch that narrative?
That switches the narrative tremendously, and it doesn't just mean, if you land back on Democrat after doing some actual research, more power to you. I don't know how you would get back there, right? However, but if you did, I would be more open to that freedom of choice, more so than you being, making those choices and voting decisions based on fear or tradition. So by informing the demographic, informing my hood, all hoods across America, by saying, yo, you've been being lied to, and if you're cool with the lie after you've been exposed to it because it's comfortable and you're complacent there, I can honor that choice. But you have to have that holistic conversation from a place of facts and understand that there's a culturally relevant awareness that needs to happen in urban America. You can't just, on the right, we can't just say, well, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and this, that, and the third. If we're talking about freedom, we got to talk about race in America. We have to talk about the fact that the Founding Fathers had clear-cut contradictions. We have to be honest about that. Freedom for all, except the black people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then that's how we move forward, by dealing with it. But pretending like it's not there and pretending like, well, we don't know if urban America and firearms. This is a part of American culture and history. You don't want me to erase the Confederate flag. I don't want you to erase the horrible things that are also on the American flag. We got stains on that flag as well. How we clean that is by being honest with it and making sure that urban America, millions, conservative estimates, 50 million Americans across the country are armed to defend their belief system, just like rural America and American suburban.
Let me ask you a question we got on Twitter for you, which is, do you think the GOP will engage honestly with the black community's real issue with them, which is racism, or will they just continue to virtue signal?
I think the older gentlemen that don't want to be objective, I'm waiting for those gentlemen, because most of the times it's men, I'm waiting for those gentlemen to die, physically, die, go away. Because those are generally the individuals that hold on to that outdated philosophy. The younger people are receiving that signal from those older gentlemen, but they are conflicted. They're conflicted in the concept that, yo, I like Maj, I like Black Guns Matter. What Granddad is telling me, even though Granddad has I'm in his will, I don't find that to be true. So we're waiting for those guys to remove. Once those guys remove, I was just chopping up with Don Jr. last night. You know what I mean? I DM, yo, what time you getting here? You know what I'm saying? Then you can start to see the reality of America that we want to create. So I think, yes, there will be more of the right going, okay, this is happening. The reality is, if you don't evolve, you will die. If we don't, unify America, if the GOA and the right and all of those different things don't understand that this is a different time, we walking around with the Library of Alexandria in our hand. If you hold on to these outdated philosophies and do not get behind organizations that are doing the work and honestly say, we can't do it because that demographic, we've ignored them and they don't trust us. If they don't do that, then those older gentlemen will die, will laugh and dance in freedom on their graves, and that's fine with me.
And listen, it's easy to say that racism is the problem, but this really does come down to incumbency and the fact that the people who've been in power want to remain in power. That's true of both political parties. That's true of a lot of the policy fights that we've had here in Washington, D.C. One of those things being criminal justice reform, trying to get away, and you mentioned this before, trying to get away from some of the institutional problems that we have in our criminal justice system is important in order to see the reforms that you're talking about. Because you're not just talking about gun ownership here. You're saying that this could have a cascading effect about the way that Americans relate to one another, the way that our criminal justice system works ultimately, the way that industry works ultimately. So what's next for Black Guns Matter then? Is it more focused on that broader picture of what America can look like? You've done 50 states, you said. Is it going back and doing 50 states again with these classes? What's on the horizon for you guys?
So it's a few things. One, individually, I'm well on my way to becoming the most dangerous man in America. That's my goal. The reason what makes a person that's from urban America, that has street sense, common sense, and book sense with a political power base, that makes you very dangerous. So that's individually one of my personal life goals. I think we're going in that direction by breaking down these barriers and calling things that are racism, calling things that are not. Just because he wore a hat does not make him racist, right? That level of objectivity is, infusing that into the general public. It's starting with urban America is where we're going with Black Guns Matter. But as far as our organization, we're having our first annual meeting, and we're getting sponsors for all that other stuff in Arizona. But it's really to turn this into political power. I've been very transparent about what my agenda is. The agenda is to galvanize 40 to 50 million Americans and lean them in a different direction politically by exposing them to different information and letting them have the means to defend ourselves and our values. I think that's done through institutionalizing Black Guns Matter, maybe even franchising it, and linking up. So like all of you like rich guys that are like listening right now, rich women that are listening, Oprah, I don't know if you're listening to this station, but just getting some of the people that have those same value systems and putting some resources behind it. I know a factory, I know a guy. Let's create 100 jobs as the litmus test in Philadelphia, manufacturing something, and showcase that, those deeper or further reaching ramifications of respecting freedom and respecting liberty.
Does this president make your job harder of making conservatism appealing to young Black people? You've got a guy who after Charlottesville said there are fine people on both sides, and you had a bunch of white guys marching around saying that Jews will not replace us.
Right.
Does that make your job harder?
Yeah, it makes my job harder. You know what else makes it harder? And I'm going to talk to Don the next time I run into him about it, Junior. What also makes it harder is he ran on the campaign of Pro 2A. He's the NRA's guy. I haven't seen, now maybe he'll veto this bill that just passed the House for expanded universal background checks, which is a falsehood, it's a farce. However, maybe him vetoing that, I don't think it's even going to get through the Senate.
It won't get through the Senate.
It's not going to happen. But doing things like that, but turning around and saying, well, we take the guns and we'll deal with due process later, that definitely makes my neighborhood go, what? So now you're saying that, because if you in the hood, even if you lawfully have firearms, that question becomes, nah, that's not really constitutional, bro. That's just what it is. So in those areas, he does make it more difficult. In other areas where he makes it extremely enlightening, or like making it super easy for me, is when you put record numbers on the board of unemployment in my community. When you're cutting red tape and potentially 100, however many $1 billion will be flowing into those same hoods. Because for me, I go, if I can earmark some of that money, get it back to the hood, we tie it back into those factories again. So I think there's always, a yin and a yang with everything. But most people from urban demographics go, okay, is he doing it right with the money? Are we getting these numbers? You can't lie about them stats. And I know there's some sort of trickle down from the last administration too, so I'm not gonna be dishonest about that at all. However, when I focus on economics in the hood, they go, yeah, I can see that. But when you're talking to gun guys, and they're like, nah, the bump stock ban thing, nah, we're not really rocking with that. My job is to figure out, again, how we can get that demographic to translate that those successes and those failures to this president or even a local politician. These are the things that we agree with. These are the things we need you to tighten up on. So that's the area where he makes my life like I want to pull all of my hair out, you know, on the gun part. But on the economic side, he makes it a lot easier for me.
Maj Toure, it's great to have you. Thank you so much. Thoughtful guy. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. I appreciate you.